Has Grand Seiko finally made the snowflake everyone will love? Well, it's close. Let's get into it! Yes, and welcome to the Mad Watch Collector Show. Today is all about the phenomenal brand Grand Seiko. Now, the first watch that comes to my mind when we're talking about Grand Seiko is obviously the Snowflake. The beautiful SBGA 211, fully equipped with the 9R65 spring drive movement, a watch that first came out in 2005, had a slight dial change in 2010, but since then hasn't really been changed at all. Now, even though this is probably the most iconic Grand Seiko of the lot, it still does get a bit of a hard time from a lot of the watch community. But if certain things were changed and taken away, to many people, it could become one of the best watches ever made. Well, guess what? It seems as though Grand Seiko are listening, because all the contentious points about the Snowflake seem to have been rectified in this brand new iteration. Although there are going to be some features to this new watch
they're still not going to like.
Have Grand Seiko gone too far with the changes? Is this reference going to be a timeless icon like its brother? Well, fortunately for you, I've got this new Grand Seiko Snowflake in for review, and it is a big thanks to Francis & Gay Jewelers that I have. They are a very proud authorized dealer of Grand Seiko and many other wonderful brands you and I love. Big up to Ryan and F&G for once again pulling it out of the bag and trusting me with a watch I've got to send back. Anyway, the original Snowflake to buy right now is £5,800. The new Snowflake is going to cost you £3,700. What has Grand Seiko changed, and do I recommend it to you guys? Are you Snowflake ready? Let's go. So, ladies and gentlemen, here is the SBGX 355, and what a stunning beauty this is. It definitely looks like the Snowflake, and there's me trying to look for the smooth sweep of that spring drive movement. We don't get it in this watch. More on that later. The next thing we notice is that power reserve indicator has vanished, but this Grand Seiko is still made with the high intensity titanium. It's a very blingy number, just like its bigger brother, and it is so light. I think it's around 79 grams, which is redonkulous. But obviously the main attraction is that textured dial. It looks exactly the same as the SBGA 211s. First impressions, very nice. Quick spec check. So here is where you're going to see the big differences between this watch and its bigger brother. The original Snowflake has a 41mm case, 12.5 thick, and a 49mm lug to lug. Now, on paper, those measurements don't sound too off, but for some reason, the head of the watch just seems a bit cumbersome on a lot of people's wrists. Is it a dress watch? Is it a sports watch? When do I wear it? But with this new iteration, it's definitely gonna fit a lot more wrists. So we've got a 37mm case. It's only 10.6mm thick, just under 45 lug to lug, with a 19mm lug width. It being that slightly smaller definitely looks more refined. We've got a dual curved sapphire glass protecting the dial with under AR coating. The high intensity titanium has been brushed and polished using that phenomenal Japanese Saratsu method. Mirrored finishing that is unrivaled. The worry if I ever owned a watch like this would definitely be the thought of scuffing it up, but moving the watch around in the light, it is an absolute thing of beauty. Now onto the bracelet. Obviously it's smaller than the SBGA 211s and the taper goes down thinner as well. An elephant in the room to a lot of people is the clasps on Grand Seikos. They are very tiny, and because of their size, they don't have micro adjustments, neither on the fly adjustments. You do have half links to find that right fit, but I would agree the clasps on a Grand Seiko do let it down a little bit compared to the market around them. But as a product, as a thing, it is beautifully made. Okay Okay, let's look at the face.
Dial time.
So yes, I love it. I can get deep into this dial and, to be fair, lost. It's a gorgeous thing, even to have on your wall, let alone on your wrist. Japanese craftsmanship at its finest. And they don't do things by arse, the Japanese. The applied indices are polished just as well as the hands and the watch case. The mirrored reflections from the hands onto those indices are amazing. The dial is almost a work of art, isn't it? I'm not much of a date fan. The date window is quite prominent with the silver frame, and the white date wheel is slightly a different white to the dial. Would have been nice if they kept that the same, but it is a very practical complication, certainly for quartz watches, that's for sure. I'm always impressed when I look at the hands of a Grand Seiko. Dauphine sword style, synonymous with a GS, and that thermally blued seconds hand. I loves it. In typical Grand Seiko fashion, there is no loom on this watch, so if you need to look at the time when you're in the dark, I guess get your phone out. But overall, a very beautiful dial I would be very proud of owning. Powering this Snowflake beauty is an in-house 9F62 quartz movement. This is a twin pulse quartz movement in order to move that big seconds hand across without it wobbling like a lot of quartz movements do. It moves twice. You can't see it with the naked eye, but that is cool too, no? You are only going to be losing 10 to 15 seconds a year. Absolutely incredible. In actual fact, Grand Seiko grow their own quartz, and those quartz are tested for 3 months, with the best ones being chosen to go inside their movements. These machines are hand assembled by 2 watchmakers as well, and if you want quartz at the highest level it can go, Grand Seiko have some of the best. Hello. On my 6.5-inch wrist, and this, wow, this is a match made in heaven for me. The proportions, the case shape, it just wears so well. Obviously I can't take any links out, being that this is not my watch, so I don't know if taking a half link out is gonna give me a perfect fit, but it is such an impressive watch on that wrist, isn't it? It's a cleaner, sleeker, smaller Snowflake from Grand Seiko, and I can see it being very popular. So there we go, the SBGX 355. What do you guys think? Well, I gotta say, I much prefer the proportions to this new one than the original bigger brother. I haven't got a problem with this being a quartz because I know the 9F movements that they have in these babies are just as well made, just as well looked after as their high beat movements and their spring drive movements. If I'm ever gonna really buy and wear a titanium watch, it would be something like this, a more dressier style than a sportier style. So yes, people are going to be disappointed that even though the dimensions are slightly better, having a Snowflake without the power indicator sort of loses its character a bit. But it being quartz, they just couldn't have it in there. And this does have to be said, but if Grand Seiko came up with a clasp that could rival a glide lock or the T-Fit from Tudor, there really would not be much a watch enthusiast could moan about when it comes to a Grand Seiko. So do I think that this new Snowflake quartz is a winner or a binner? Well, I would say for me, it's a winner, but I wouldn't necessarily say it's better than the SBGA 211. It's a nice accompaniment. It's an evolution of the Snowflake. A counterpart, if you will. If this was to be an actual replacement, I think there would be a lot of disgruntled Grand Seiko fans. But it being alongside it, I think it was a smart move from the brand. £3,700 is a lot of cheddar, but with Grand Seiko, you are getting the best of the best of the best of the best. You are getting a connoisseur's watch. You know it's a damn good watch. The watch enthusiasts know it's a damn good watch, and you're gonna make some blooming good memories with one of the best in its class. Here it is, my wife's thoughts on the new Snowflake quartz. It's all right. The dial is nice, but it's very blingy. I don't like bling. I won't bother her with the details that the polisher of this watch probably had to go through 5 years worth of training in order to have touched one. But I agree, it is a bit blingy. You've come to the end of the show. Thank you so much to F&G for sending this bad boy in. If you want a bit more of the Mad Watch Collector Show, click there and join. You want some merch? Of course you do. Click a bit further down in the description. But if I've got you for a few more minutes, why don't you click this bad boy? Oh, this is sensational. Yeah, go on, click it. It's phenomenal. I haven't got all day. Come on, click, click, click it!